Welcome to Beltway Whispers. Today's episode is Gatekeepers. Prologue. Washington buzzed with post-election energy. The nation had watched as Donald Trump, defying expectations, reclaimed the White House. The media churned through endless analyses, but in certain corners, whispers were far more intriguing than headlines. Behind closed doors, games were being played. Power moves were in motion. And at the center of one particularly ruthless gambit was a man whose ambition outpaced his foresight, Matt Gaetz. Chapter 1. Election Win. The celebration was deafening, but Matt Gaetz found himself on the fringes. Sure, he delivered impassioned speeches and made enough appearances on Fox News to keep his profile high. But he wasn't in the room. At Trump's victory party in Mar-a-Lago, Gaetz circled the crowd like a shark looking for chum. Each handshake, each laugh, was a calculated move to appear indispensable to the incoming administration. "Attorney General, huh?" Gaetz joked with Stephen Miller, nudging him with an elbow. "Can't think of anyone better to drain the swamp." Miller smirked. "You've always got big dreams, Matt." But Gaetz wasn't kidding. He was already imagining himself in the big chair at the DOJ, a MAGA warrior taking on the establishment. Little did he know the establishment was imagining something very different for him. Chapter 2. Nominations begin. The Trump transition team moved quickly, announcing a slate of nominees that ranged from predictable to eyebrow-raising. Marco Rubio as Secretary of State? Sure. Tulsi Gabbard as DNI? Intriguing. And then there were names that made the media howl. Mehmet Oz for Medicare, Elon Musk overseeing government efficiency. For every headline-grabbing pick, there was one name missing. Matt Gaetz. Susie Wilds, the incoming chief of staff, noticed Gaetz lingering outside her office one day. He was always around, dropping unsubtle hints about how the Justice Department needed a fighter. Wiles smiled politely. The wheels in her mind were already turning. Chapter 3. The Plane Ride. The presidential jet was alight with chatter as it soared over the eastern seaboard, a triumphant Trump lounging in the central cabin after what had been an unusually smooth day. The meeting with President Biden at the White House had been cordial, almost too cordial, according to Susie Wilds, who joked that she half expected Biden to invite Trump for tea on Inauguration Day. In a corner of the cabin, Matt Gaetz sat, sipping a Diet Coke and beaming like a kid at Christmas. Trump's top legal advisor, Boris Epshteyn, leaned toward him with a conspiratorial grin. "You know, Matt, the president's been talking about you nonstop," Boris said. "He needs a loyal fighter in the DOJ, someone who understands the stakes." Gaetz's chest puffed out. "I've always had his back." "And he knows it," Boris replied smoothly. "But there's one thing standing in the way of making this official." Gaetz frowned. "What's that?" Susie Wilds appeared seemingly out of nowhere, her tone measured and deliberate. "The House ethics investigation. It's a ticking time bomb, Matt. If you stay in Congress, it becomes a target for the media circus. You resign and it's off the table. Done. We control the narrative." "Exactly," Boris chimed in. "The president can't afford distractions when he's building his team." On the other side of the plane, Susie caught Elon Musk's eye and gave the faintest of nods. Musk, reclining with an air of detached amusement, chuckled. "This guy really thinks he's about to be Attorney General," Musk murmured to Wilds. "He'll believe whatever we tell him," she replied. Behind them, Speaker Johnson's voice buzzed on the phone. "We can't have him in the House. He's a liability," Johnson growled. "The GOP can't take another Gaetz stunt. You get him to resign, and we'll make sure he never gets confirmed." Susie strolled back to Gaetz, whose wheels were already spinning. "Think about it, Matt," she said with a reassuring pat on his shoulder. "You'll be in the history books. The youngest, boldest attorney general this country's ever seen. But you've got to make this move first." By the time the plane landed in Florida, Gaetz was fully on board. He'd announce his resignation the next day, clearing the way for his confirmation. In his mind, it was the ultimate chess move. In reality, the game was rigged against him from the start. Chapter 4. The Announcement. The plane landed, and within hours, the Trump transition team released the official announcement. Matt Gaetz, nominee for Attorney General of the United States. Gaetz was ecstatic. This was it. His moment. He immediately submitted his resignation to Speaker Johnson, convinced it was the first step toward greatness. Back in Florida, he started assembling his team. Names were floated for deputy roles. He even discussed color schemes for the DOJ's press room during a celebratory dinner at the Capitol Grill. Matt Gaetz was on top of the world. Meanwhile, Susie Wilds sipped a martini and watched the chaos unfold. Chapter 5. Crash and Burn. The halls of Capitol Hill were colder than Gaetz expected. His initial meetings with senators left him shaken. Behind closed doors, their skepticism was palpable. "Not happening, Matt," one veteran senator told him bluntly. "Your reputation precedes you, and not in a good way." Gaetz dismissed it as part of the game. He'd been underestimated before. He called Trump, seeking reassurance. "Mr. President, these guys are giving me the cold shoulder. I need you to push them." Trump's voice boomed over the line. "Don't you worry, Matt, you're my guy. These senators don't get it yet, but they will. You're the fighter we need. You'll be the greatest attorney general in history. Trust me." Buoyed by Trump's confidence, Gaetz doubled down. He tried appealing to senators with promises of loyalty and MAGA-style reforms, but their responses remained the same: polite indifference at best, thinly veiled hostility at worst. Meanwhile, the real storm brewed behind the scenes. Speaker Johnson, working with Senate allies, leaked whispers of the House ethics investigation. The media latched onto it, with headlines speculating on Gaetz's suitability for the role. Panicking, Gaetz called Susie Wilds. "Susie, this is out of control. I need backup." "Matt, we're working on it," she replied, feigning concern. "Just keep pushing. The president's behind you." But Gaetz's gut told him otherwise. The walls were closing in. When he called Trump again, he received nothing but unwavering support. "You're going to win, Matt," Trump assured him. "I've got my whole team behind you. Don't back down." It wasn't until Gaetz overheard a whispered conversation between two Senate aides that the truth hit him. "This was the plan all along," one said. "They needed him out of the House, and now they've got him dangling in the wind." Gaetz was furious, but it was too late. His resignation was irrevocable, his nomination dead in the water. Epilogue. Months later, Gaetz sat in a seedy corner of Union Station, hawking counterfeit goods to passing tourists. A group of eighth graders from Ohio approached his stand, their laughter echoing through the station. "Hey, aren't you Matt Gaetz?" one of them asked. Gaetz flashed a practiced smile, opening his trench coat to reveal a stash of fake designer bags and knockoff sneakers. "Special mega discount," he quipped. As the kids debated their purchases, Gaetz glanced at a television screen in the background, broadcasting a press conference from the White House. Trump's attorney general stood at the podium, someone Gaetz barely recognized. He leaned back, the bitterness setting in. "I'll be back," he muttered to no one in particular. "Just wait." But even he didn't believe it anymore. Thank you for listening to Beltway Whispers. Remember, the real story is often the one you'll never hear. But here in the back room, we can imagine it.